There we go. Hi. How is everyone? Hold on. Let me just see something really quick. Okay. I think I know. Okay. I just want to make sure I remember how to share my screen because we have to go over a couple of things. I wasn't going to do another YouTube video on this channel. I mean, maybe at some point, but like that was not the plan for today. The plan for today was to stream a game. That was the plan for yesterday as well. And we keep having to make adjustments. So we are going to talk about a few things. I want to be very clear. There is a time and place for addressing serious issues. I did not want that to be the foundation for my platform. And unfortunately, you have put me in a position where I feel more uncomfortable not addressing something than just letting it breathe. Um, so yeah, I don't know exactly how I'm going to juggle stuff like this in the future because again, I really just wanted a game that sounded way more fun to me. But I do feel that I have a duty or obligation to not only be an advocate for myself, but for my beliefs and my peers, humanity in general. So, yeah, we're going to talk about a few things today. Yay. First and foremost, so yesterday I had posted a video. I did a live just to test out my setup and it worked really well. Um, I didn't I don't think I've changed much. Maybe the lighting's a little bit different. I do have my Yeti now and I've plugged it in, but I didn't know if that looked. Yep, I'm just gonna put that down. I I think it's working. It's just I don't know as far as inputs and outputs when I'm doing YouTube videos if it'll only consider the microphone as opposed to the because I guess this has like I'm pointing to the camera. I'm pointing to you. You have the ability to take input and output, so that's how I actually because I don't have speakers right now. That's how I hear anything on my desktop or from it rather. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we were gonna be able to record this and have audio from what it is that's playing as well as what I'm saying. Um, I don't know why I had to explain all of that, but anyway, let's share a stream. So yeah, yesterday I did my first video, my first little test, and upon watching it, I discovered something. Hold on. And let me just make sure. Yeah. So I'm here. I'm going to play this in a second. And you very well might recognize the problem as quickly as I did. I was like, oh no. Oh no, no, no. All right. So, ready? This is literally the reason we're doing this today. Oh my God, it works. Sick. Hi. Hi, everyone. One more time. One more time. Can I get an audio boost here? Let me make that louder. Sick. Hi. And one more time. Oh my God, it works. Sick. Hi. So the sick hi thing really caught me off guard because I was like, why does this sound like I'm saying here, let me just pull open a tab. I don't even want to say it out loud because then you'll actually have the proper audio of me saying the thing it sounds like, in my opinion. Can you see this? Yeah. That. And I'm like, literally 4 seconds into me streaming my first video, when I have my professional setup, you're gonna have me saying Nazi shit? I was like, that's crazy. Um, and so I really just wanted to address this because I was like, no. And Hassan had his katana sword controversy recently, and he got pegged for that. And it was like, okay, that's a stretch. This I understand though. This, just listening to my audio, I'm like, it's almost like bar for bar. It's like, I think this is a setup. I think this is a setup to get me canceled before I even like hit the ground running. And so I wanted to say, I in no way meant to say this. I do believe that, oh man, I don't want to get into all of this right now. Again, I can't stress enough how much I just wanted to game. I just wanted to game. I just wanted to have fun and game. I didn't want to get into all like the weird shit in my life, but here we are. Um but yeah, hold on. I have like notes that I wrote down because like today just turned into a whole fucking thing. But yeah, I believe shit like that is human trafficking. I think that I was very much naturally kind of led into a moment just saying things, but in a particular order to, it's like coded speech in a way. Um, and I wanted this to be kind of like a learning moment because I know sometimes we get walked into scenarios where we get presented as a bad guy or the conveyor of certain messaging. And it's like, I don't agree with what you're trying to make me say. And, I hope actually, if anything, this proves as an example of one, these things happen, it exists, but two, I consider this human trafficking. Like, I am not your mouthpiece. And to me, human trafficking is one of like the worst things you can do to a person because you're essentially overriding their autonomy and their individuality and instead making them kind of like your sim and operating through them. And I'm like, that to me is just it. No, no, you don't even want me to get into what I think should happen to people who do stuff like that. But yeah, that happened. And then today kind of escalated into way bigger of a, it's like snowballed, right? Like I say, right, like um so this happened. I had seen something about this on YouTube. I didn't think anything of it. Her name didn't pop up. And then all of a sudden I was watching Hassan. I think I was like getting ready or doing my makeup or something. And he's like, Hannah Dugan. And I'm like, what did you just say? Because that is literally one letter short of my name. On my Instagram, I didn't mention it in my my last video, but on my Instagram, I had done a little like a bit of a story, I guess. I don't know like the term exactly. But I was like, there was like 3 separate times I ran into police officers recently when I was trying to get all of my pieces of equipment to stream. And I ran into police officers. I parked in front of a police car. I ended up going into Panda Express. The police officers were in the Panda Express. Okay. And then I went to CVS. There was a different police car stationed outside of it or doing like rounds in the parking lot. I go inside and the police officer had entered the CVS. And I'm like, okay. And then I go to Best Buy to pick up my Omen. And I'm talking to this guy because I'm looking for work. And I was like, oh, how do you like working at Best Buy? Just to get some insight and input. He tells me a little bit about himself. And then he's like, oh, I've been here for 18 years. However, next year I'm looking to be a cop. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? And now we have this. And then I'll mention even more so. Today, I was leaving because I had to get a smog check. The whole thing about pointing out the police incidents was I don't have current registration on my car because I wasn't under the impression I needed a smog check to get my sticker. I got a letter in the mail. It's like, hey, you also need to do this, and then we'll send you your registration. It's like, cool. So I did that today. But leaving to get that done, like one of the first cars I see pulling out into, I live in like a park area right now, so pulling out into like the main streets is this like Ranger vehicle with the police lights on top. I'm like, we're doing this again. Sick, cool, fun. I get my smog check. I'm like, you know what? I'm already out. I'm kind of close to my grocery store. Let me go to the grocery store. I head inside and I run into like two like security guards, but they're not like security guards for the grocery store. They're decked out in some different type of attire. They have like patches on, like, and I'm like, what is happening? So yeah, it's just when I say human trafficking, it's like I live in a theater production in which I didn't sign on to this. I didn't agree to this role, and I'm certainly not getting paid, to have this level of control over my life. But yeah, this was a whole thing that happened today. It's hard to even believe this shit happens to me, and yeah, this is like a daily, every day something like this is going on. It's like it's ridiculous. I'll also, pardon me, my throat is a bit dry. I'll note that there is mention of the FBI, right? So I had mentioned Ray last stream because he had given me, well, he gives everybody like his specs and stuff. So I was able to kind of follow through with some of his setup. But I'm wearing his merch today, Frame Rate. And I'm going to point this out for two reasons. So one, his name being Ray, and the previous director of the FBI before Kash Patel was also named Ray, but with a W, right? And then we were watching Hassan's video today with Adam, which is there's so much that happened. I'm getting trolled in so many ways. It's so dumb. We'll get into that in a second. But in the video, it mentions how he shouldn't be wearing his friend's merch anymore. And I just so happened to have pulled my sweatpants. I put my outfit together before I had showered. And so I hear this before I shower, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to wear my friend's merch today. And you're saying don't do that. And I'm like, no, I'm going to still follow through with that. And honestly, I'm happy I did because I didn't recognize the FBI tie until he went into this story later on. And so now we're doubling down. But it's almost as if it's like, oh, well, actually don't wear that merch today because we don't want you to have the FBI connection. We don't want it to seem super suspicious, just kind of suspicious what's going on. I'm like, no, I'm happy I'm happy I followed through. Just let's just get all the evidence together, Like let's not cover this up. That's fine. Let's not. Let's check the notes. Oh, it's 5:14 by the way. That's cool. That's cool. That's neat. Let's see what else. So we can go into Thrasher. So Critical Role. I didn't watch it last night. I will say I wasn't. Sometimes I can't pay attention to things. I don't know what goes on, but I wasn't actually able to really retain information, which is unfortunate. But luckily for me, they rebroadcast their stream, so I caught it this morning, and I was able to get more involved. And then also I caught some things because I watched their stream last night here at the setup, but typically when I'm doing late night stuff, I'll go to my bathroom, and I'll just sit at like the vanity area and have my laptop open and just kind of chill in there. So I was in there and I noticed that at some point, one of the cast is speaking and they have like a pencil or some type of writing utensil in their hand. And I look to my corner and I'm like, why do I have the same colored pencil? Like, because I have, first of all, the box is in here and there's like a lot of different colors. But just a couple days ago, like not that long ago at all, I just happened, not even thinking about it, to pull out that one. And it's been in my bathroom ever since. So I'm watching the show this morning. It's on my Instagram. I'm gonna change the name of it, by the way. But like, you see that? You see that pencil he's holding? Look, I got the same one. But not only that, back to Hassan going on like the Adam show or whatever. I don't know the thing. And is that name coming up specifically? Like, what does that say? Is it not going to focus? Oh, it did for a second. I'll just read it out loud. It says Mr. Adams doesn't like him. And so this first screenshot is showing him kind of looking at the pencil in a way, right? And then it shows like a more straightforward. I just took a lot of photos because I kept trying to capture him with the pencil, but as you can see in like this one, it's not visible or in frame. And so out of the, I don't know how many, like 4 or 5 or 6 photos I took, I posted a couple of them because it was like, it almost turned into a narrative. And it was just like, what is going on, right? Like, what is happening? So yeah, I wanted to point that out. As far as that stream in particular, there was some other things that I had caught as well that I didn't post about, but I did write down. There was a point on that stream. So you have to keep in mind when you're watching a Critical Role stream. Actually, I don't know. Are they gonna upload it with the like time before the stream starts? Because typically there's like a 10-minute or so like period where they'll have something else going on. But if that's not a part of the stream, the point I'm trying to make is the timestamp might be a little bit different for what I'm trying to reference. But if it's the same, around the 1 hour and 4 minute mark, a little bit before that, I'd say, but very much close to it, there is mention of somebody offering up a couple of words, even if they don't mean anything. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because the sick hi I said, very much sounding like something else, in my opinion at least, it was very reminiscent of that, like saying words, offering up words, but they don't mean anything. Because like that to me wasn't what that was meant to convey, right? Like that, it was just upon listening. I honestly, I was horrified. I was a little bit horrified. I was like, I can't believe that is what came out of my mouth, and that's what it sounds like. So I thought that was interesting that that was kind of alluded to in a way in something that was recorded. I don't know how many days or even weeks in advance the Thrasher series was recorded, but it's kind of like wild to think about, which goes back to human trafficking, right? Oh, and then to double down on that like idea of Nazism, by the way, because I had made an Instagram post alluding to the video. So you can kind of see me here. See how I'm wearing my white choker and today I have my black one. I'm doing opposites today, mindfully. So because I was wearing my white choker, and this was before I really understood what I was hearing, I put a white heart. Okay. Focus or don't. Okay, you can still see the heart shape. That's the point. That's the point. And I was like, oh, good. White love, brother. It was so bad. It just kept escalating. It's like, no. Osiris, are you okay, Bean? Right. And then there's like this idea of like I had my white cat in my lap, and it's just all of these like white things. It's just like, no. Anyway, so under that other post regarding the pencil, I made a point to put a black heart. You can hardly see it. It kind of blends in, but you can kind of see the highlight on it. Eh, there you go. But yeah, this is how I fight back, you guys. This is how I fight back. And I know some people might be like, well, why don't you just delete the video and delete the comment and then no harm, no foul? And I'm like, because this is education. moment. Like we can learn um, from this. And that's not what I meant, and that's not what I meant to say. So, like, I'm good on my end. However, I really want to make a point to give people an example of how you can be operated through, even if it's completely opposite of your conduct and your beliefs. I think that's important. I don't think a lot of people are as familiar with human trafficking in this type of way as I am because I clock it every single day. And the fact that I caught it and I'm doing a video, it's, how they talk about defensive driving. This is defensive living. I'm protecting myself, my character, my autonomy, but also, again, going out of my way to try to educate people on this matter because I think it's important that other people also learn to be defensive. Like, this is not a cancelable moment. They might have tried to make it to be something like that, and it's certainly controversial, but not in the way in which they might have tried to project it if I were not to sit here today and have to make this video. Like, again, I felt like this was my duty. I felt like this was an obligation. I did not want to do this today. This isn't fun for me. It's just a whole lot of drama and bullshit fuckery, but this is how I stand my ground. This is how I stand, this is how I hold a line. And I'm proud to do that. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to always have to explain yourself um, beyond that of how they would prefer your projection to be and how they would prefer people to interpret you. But whatever. Yeah, it is what it is. Let me go back to my notes. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, yeah. So I wore a skeleton onesie yesterday. So this is back to Thrasher. And they mention around like the 1 hour and 38-minute mark, a handcuffed hand um, to like a table. And one of the casts, their characters gets like really upset after analyzing this hand. Um, but it was mentioned specifically that this hand wasn't a skeleton. It was not decomposing. If what I'm saying makes no sense, don't worry about it. This is just a really tiny blip of a very big narrative. I'm just pointing this out because I think it's interesting that the hand is handcuffed. So we have the Hannah Dugan thing again, right? We can circle back to that. But also, I wore a skeleton onesie yesterday. And they specifically say, well, it's not the skeleton, like the hand is not a skeleton. I go into detail for the video's sake. So meaning it's not decomposed. The hand is attached to like a table or something, but it looks fresh still, which is very interesting to the party coming across it. Like that's an abnormality, right? It's a little bit strange. I guess there's a little bit more context, but I don't necessarily want to spoil um, the episode if somebody hasn't watched it or they're like, oh, wait, now I want to watch it and I want to clock these things on my own. It's really good. It's really good. I'm not trying to do promo during this this unfortunate video I have to make, but I would highly recommend if you have the time to catch Critical Role's Thrasher series. I believe it's 2 parts, and it's off of the Candela Obscura mechanisms. That probably is a lot of language you're not familiar with, but look it up on YouTube and tell me what you think. Tell them I sent you. Why not? Why not? Just write in the comments. I watched Hana's video and I was like, what the fuck? Now I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, this is fun, but also still, what the fuck? What the hell is going on? Oh, yeah, and I made a note to myself. I'm like, it's really interesting because it's almost as if the environment, as it were, is like telling on itself or is insisting upon itself and things it's alluding to things to come. Um, and it's just very odd because you wouldn't think an environment would be so conscious, which is why I really do believe there's an element of algorithm and trafficking happening. because there's no good logical explanation for so many things to link up like this. Like, there's just not. I'm sorry. Um, there is no excuse. Like, there's definitely an intelligence behind all of this, orchestrating, um, conducting, directing. Somebody's putting in my head financing. Like, I just want to understand why this is happening, why it's acceptable, and why nobody's talking about it. That's a little bit weird to me. That's a little bit strange. Um, it's like we're all living in a like in theater or concert of like a bigger idea. But again, like we don't transcribe to the bigger idea. We didn't agree to be a part of this production, and we're certainly not getting paid to be actors. Um, and all the stunts are real. Another thing I had mentioned to myself earlier today was like, Hollywood, the movies are fake, but you understand that there's sets and they do casting and there's scripts and shots. Every scene is meticulous, every environment is made mindfully. It's crafted in such a way where there's Easter eggs even beyond that of, just the characters themselves, right? The environment in itself can be a character. The thing about war is it's much like Hollywood. It's fake, but it's real fake. And that's something I really want to stress and impress upon everybody is like we're living in like a deep fake world. Things don't just happen. There's always cause, there's always reason. There's always going to be some type of preliminary planning. And again, like we didn't agree to this. And also, by the way, this is shit. Imagine having all this technology and the power to control everything, and this is the outcome. Like, what the fuck? This is the worst world ever. I would honestly rather live in Mordor. At least there's like magic and cool shit there. Like this is just like basic bitch vanilla Sims, and then also the worst quality of life ever across the board. By the way, like it's not like anybody in America in a first world country is having a great time either. This is just shit. So it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around how there can be this much control and it's still this awful. Why is no? I'm busy. No. Um, can I check my notes if somebody's calling? Sorry. I am in a moment. Don't bother me. Don't bother me when I'm trying to speak on important I can't even like this is bullshit, but it's like it's important. You know what I mean? Look at my plaque psoriasis, you guys. I always joke to myself, it looks like somebody hit me with like a baseball bat or like a baseball or something. I just have like a permanent mark now from the shit they put me through. It's real fun. It's real fun. I've taken kindly to it though, in a sense of like anytime I have like the flecks or flakes of skin, I'm like, oh, my pixie dust. So if you see that on me, yes, one, it's gross. I can't control it. Ever since 304, which is a conversation, a whole different one I don't want to get into, this started happening. And I haven't, it's now a permanent part of my identity, I guess, until I get like healthcare, which is who knows? Sometimes I'd rather just like, than have to continue living. And healthcare is something that, how do you say, furthers your life. Hold on. Hold on. Boys. Let me just go through my notes real quick. Did I hit? I feel like that phone call, this is actually a really good learning experience for me because now I'm like, I need to silence my phone when I'm doing this because my whole groove was just thrown off. I was feeling so passionate and now I just keep getting sidetracked. And it's like, this is way too important to have somebody just coming out of the blue and perhaps, yeah, somebody's like maybe strategically throwing you off. And it's like, yeah, because that's what they do. Um, so you know what? I live and learn, right? So now I've learned something. I guess the only other thing I can really see on this, just like looking, like there's a lot of notes. Like, that's just today. That's just today. Is that I'm wearing black and white all over, and so I don't know if you want to equate that to like a police fit or like an orca, or killer whale. Killer whales kept coming up. Um, what is it? Like some months ago, they kept saying they were like trying to like capsize or they were successfully capsizing boats and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? But yeah, I'm in my orca slash killer whale fit today. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah, get scared. Um, is there any other tabs that I pulled? Dun, dun, dun. Give me 1 second, you guys. There was unfortunately it like refreshed or something because I was getting trolled on Edge. So for example, okay. So you see that platinum blonde hair and the dogs. Just like, okay. Also, it reads Jason Isaacs thinks he'll be long forgotten once the new Lucius Malfoy takes over. And it's like, if I'm trying to like make that make sense for me, I'm like, okay, where am I going? And also who's going to pretend to be me and take my place? Like, the great replacement theory, you guys. I'm too woke to be here. They're gonna take my skin and then somebody else is gonna animate it. Just watch. And there was a lot of stuff like that that kept happening. This is kind of like a throwback, but I had my neck, in my opinion, almost broken when I was at Knott's Berry Farm some years ago when I was at 304. And you can see on this one, there's a wolf that's dead. There's Donald Trump, and there's Knott's Landing, Friday the 13th. There's Lar Park. Oh, I mentioned that I live near a park, technically in one. Dead at 63, and it's like, okay. If you want to flip the six, I was born in 93, if that means anything to you. I also saw that there was a video on YouTube. I didn't watch it, but there was a guy that was almost decapitated like 2 weeks ago or a couple days ago or something, and he died today. I guess he lived through the attack and he just died. But the idea of like, you know, which is essentially what happened to my neck when I was on a roller coaster. And then I had G forces pushing it down and I literally couldn't lift my neck. It was awful. I had to, for like weeks, if not months after that, if I wanted to adjust my neck, I had to take my hands and I had to like manipulate it. I didn't go to the hospital. And I'm pretty sure that was a setup too. I'm pretty sure the ride was called Hang Time, and at that period in my life, the DMV told me that my last name was Tyner, which was my father's last name and my original last name. But apparently, Danette, so my mom, had gone through the motions to get my name changed when I was younger, but it was never really put through. It's something I had to go through this year to get that all figured out. But the DMV is like, no, that's not you. When I was trying to renew my license as Hannah Dugos, or So again, um, and so the reason I bring this up is because the name of the roller coaster that almost killed me was called Hang Time. And Tyner sounds a lot like timer. And yeah, Hang Mike Pence was a thing around that time. I remember months after I moved back here at this house from 304, there was I think mention of a woman that was found hanging from a tree in Griffith Park. And I think she was also set afire, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody would have to pull that story. I would have pulled it myself, but I didn't know we were gonna like do all these deep cuts. But it's like, okay, like what is that? Like what type of harassment campaign is this when we're going out of our way to like kill people or threaten their lives of like vice presidents and things? Like that's crazy, which can bring us to Trump derangement syndrome. That came up today, and I kind of like laughed to myself a bit because I realized what Trump derangement syndrome really was. And I guess first of all, I'll say that if you ever tell somebody they have it, that might be a sign that actually you have it because your idea of what that means is inaccurate. It is a deflective mechanism. A lot of people who, like Donald Trump, will deflect things and try to always point the fingers to someone else. They will not take responsibility for their actions. Um, and so what I've realized is that Trump derangement syndrome, and I mean, you can apply this to any type of figure, but typically things get coined because of one person and one incident. So the idea is that there is like a figure in your life that you rise above anybody else, like on the plane of existence. They can do no wrong, and you will become such an advocate for them that you essentially like you become delusional. You are no longer tapped into reality as it is. You are living in an alternate state of affairs and mental cognition. Like it's a real mental disorder. But it's interesting because the people who have the disorder essentially coined it, but they didn't realize that they were talking about themselves. They didn't get the definition right, but they got the name right. Like they've branded themselves accurately, but they try to like impress it upon other people. I'm like, oh no, honey, you that's what you have. That's what you have. Now they're not gonna believe this, but you know, how many people will you say something to them about themselves and they become very argumentative or defensive, or they just are in complete denial. So yeah, the next time anybody mentions it and they're like, "Oh, you have Trump derangement syndrome," I'll be like, "Look at you self-diagnosing. Good for you. You're one step closer to getting help. Good for you." Um, but yeah, I think that's about it. I don't really know if there's much else to say. But yeah, this has been a good time, you guys. I we'll see. I might do gaming. I did download what is it? I downloaded OBS and Streamlabs today. I haven't quite messed around with them a lot. Oh, actually, it was interesting when I was messing around with OBS, just to try to understand it more, get familiar. There was a moment where so what happens is when you attach all your devices is they'll have like a blank screen and then they'll have like your little camera like in a corner and you can manipulate where it is on the screen. It's like very simple and straightforward, but it's a learning curve I'm going through. But I was like, oh, I wonder if I can have just like a default to switch from that to a full screen like we're doing now and what I've been doing with YouTube, jumping from tabs, but also jumping back to full screen to have that ability. So I was trying to figure that out. And as soon as I got to a point where I had gotten that effect to a degree. So all of a sudden I was blown up on my screen. My mouse or cursor started like fidgeting and all I had like 50 different cursors just like following like a really broken frame rate and stuck to my screen. And Hassan in his stream, I thought I did this because it happened literally when I was trying to do all of that. I was getting the visual cues, and there was an audio or tech issue on Hassan's end to the point where, I mean, it was happening for a hot minute. And I put in his comments, I'm like, "Are you using OBS? Like, did I fuck up both of our OBSs?" I think I like apologized. I was like, "I'm so sorry." Because I genuinely thought that somehow, some way, like I fucked up his stream. I don't know if that's what happened, but like that's kind of what it literally like it was so just like fluid, the motions where it like I was, the only conclusion I could come to was like I did something and now we're all suffering consequences. And yeah, that wasn't fun. And I don't like feeling as if I'm, you know, crashing somebody else's shit, but like I don't know what else to say of it. But yeah, that happened today as well, on top of literally all of the other things. It's been a day. It has been a very interesting Friday. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I've gotten everything off of my chest. This is a hot 41 minutes of me just ranting and complaining and doing my best to educate people on crazy shit. But you know, I'd rather us have like these straightforward conversations and be able to communicate than just pretend like nothing's happening. I feel like that's really counterintuitive, but also that's how do we even have the right to complain when we won't even acknowledge the ways of the world, you know, not as they try to portray them, but the truth of the matter and our personal experiences. So that's kind of what I try to do. And I know it sounds sometimes conspiratorial or crazy, but I'm like, this is literally my life. Like, I'm not making stuff up. This is just how it is. So it's really unfortunate, but I'm here to fight the good fight, and I will until the day I die. And I know that really upsets a lot of people because it messes with the status quo. But I'm like, I have nothing to lose. So I'm just going to keep doing it. But yeah, I think the next time I stream will be on my Twitch. I will hopefully link that in the bio or whatever. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do any more streams on this channel, but maybe. I was also considering doing a Patreon. Not that anybody watches me, but it'd be really cool if at some point there was a Patreon of vlogs of this type of content because I don't want this to be on my main shit. Like I just want to have fun. I want to be known as a gamer and a fun content creator, but like this is really important to me. I feel very strongly about this type of dialogue and conversation. So having a Patreon where you can access my rants and maybe, you know, if that goes well, I do them more often. Um, so you can stay up to date with all the crazy shit happening. I can I could just treat you this is just like a diary entry or like a captain's log, right? Like I'm just like letting it all out. I It's like a therapy session almost in a way. I do definitely feel better speaking on these things. But yeah, so that's a consideration. I have to figure that out. But for now, you know, maybe I jump back to this channel and openly post and produce stuff like that. Like I don't know. I'm working on it. There's a lot of moving parts right now. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. But I'd still like to have fun, and I'd still very much like to game because this is really heavy, and I really believe in work-life balance, and I know gaming and streaming is work as well, but that's a lot more fun than this. So, um, we'll see how that all pans out, but that's a little update, and of course, it just happens to be 5:45 as I'm ending this. Sick. I'm not gonna say the second word. All right, gamers. Have a good night, evening, afternoon, what have you, and have an excellent weekend. Stay safe and practice defensive living. If I had to give one bit of advice, and yeah, I'll catch you next time. Bye.